In this video, we are going to study some very important points. You can further develop on these points based on your own understanding. But let me give you a general picture of what are the indices of happiness. What is it that actually happiness creates in your system? What is the actual index, you can say, of a pleasant mood? So, according to yoga, the indices of happiness are, again, you see, because the bar is raised so high, the indices of happiness are, they are explained at a level which is really beyond the normal. I have tried to bring it out into our understanding as much as possible. But you must understand what they are hinting at is the complete reach of human consciousness, the complete unfolding of our awareness, so that the highest levels of bliss are possible. So the very first index of happiness, according to yoga, is complete mind management and emotional well-being. You can watch it in the slide which I have put there. You see, emotional well-being, which results in proactive relationships based on compassion, deep inner kindness, satisfaction, fulfillment, a purity of one's bhav, and radiating an aura of complete reliability. This becomes natural in the life of a yogi because emotional well-being has been achieved. His emotions are at rest. They are very positive. They are committed. So his relationships are committed. He lives at a particular level. So this is the very first index of happiness according to yoga. When the mind is, in a state of satiation, it is filled with awareness, full of positive feelings of kindness, compassion, acceptance, love, then that personality radiates a different kind of happiness altogether, which is very infectious. It is very contagious, in fact. So you see a whole lot of people following even spiritual personalities for the simple reason they have achieved a point of touch with the divine, which divinizes their own minds. So the very first index is mind management. Mind has become a simple thing with them. A childlike purity radiates from them. So this results in emotional well-being, the very first index of happiness. The second is very high energy levels. You can see it in the image there. Very high energy levels because their vitality has been preserved. Their vital energy has been preserved in a big way. The fact of spiritual discipline ensures this. The vital energy is not compromised in unnecessary thought, in meaningless feelings, in erratic emotions. It is not compromised on all that. It has been retained and it has been committed to a particular level. So its the level of energy in that system will be very high. The yogi is a very energetic being, basically. And that is why he radiates that energy all around him. So high energy levels and controlled energy output is characteristic of a very happy state of mind. Please understand this. The level of restraint and control is all so that your energy reaches its peak. It reaches its consummation. If you waste it on unnecessary thought, negative emotions, on all this, it's a huge compromise of your vitality. So understanding this second index of happiness is very important. That is why when you are full of energy, you can do anything. So training of your own system is so fundamental in yoga. This is the second index of happiness. You can clearly see this if you have met personalities who are genuinely fulfilled from within. You will see the level of subtle energy they radiate is very high. This is what affects other minds actually. It gives a magnetic personality. The third index of happiness which I have put there is very obvious to those who have studied yoga. It is high awareness. The yogi is deeply aware. A spiritual person has developed a sixth sense, as it were, which is due to his high level awareness. This level of awareness naturally, spontaneously is due to a uncluttered mind, a pure mind. And because the awareness content is so high, unnecessary thought is not allowed there. So his thinking is very pointed, very purposeful. His whole actions, whole personality is so meaningful. He commits himself to meaning, not just to something changing, something constantly undergoing change, something which is flimsy, something which is frivolous. He cannot invest into all that. So you have raised your entire life to a particular level. When you manufacture high awareness, you understand what happiness means. In fact, Vedanta will tell you, pure awareness is your very nature. You have covered it up with a whole lot of messy things. Because of lack of training, mind training, you are not able to touch the core of your own being. Pure awareness is not exactly manufactured. It is unfolded. This is the yogic language, but Vedanta will tell you, awareness is always your true nature. Pure awareness is the essential core of your being. So learn to touch that on an everyday basis through your meditative practice, and you will radiate a level of happiness, joy, which will spread all around. You can see it so clearly in the lives of great spiritual personalities. Sri Ramakrishna, whichever room he entered, the people in that room felt that kind of a shot of joy. They would feel it, and it consumed them. It changed them permanently. Just looking at his face would change people's minds. Wherever the Buddha walked, they say for a radius of almost 2 kilometers, one could know the Buddha is there by the peace he radiated. The whole atmosphere would become so quiet and peaceful, so still, that one could know that the Buddha was somewhere around. So this is what I am saying. High level awareness radiated from a human system will result in the spontaneous expression of the greatest level of joy, happiness. So this is what is called Ananda in our scriptures. The fourth index of happiness is the experience of interbeing. When one realizes one's own true being as the Atman, as of the nature of existence, consciousness and bliss, pure awareness, then one knows that everybody is that same thing in a different name and a different form. So you just understand things in depth. And so a natural experience of interbeing and the interdependent nature of life becomes prominent in that mind. One naturally feels a sense of unity with everyone. One becomes all-accepting. That personality radiates the feel of unity. So a spiritual mindset can never divide, can never put down anything. It can only accept, it can only love. So the last index I have put there is serenity. A natural sense of deep tranquility prevails. A calmness of mind which is unshaken. You will find this description even in the Bhagavad Gita. There is no shaking a yogi's mind. Why? It has touched its depths. So a natural sense of tranquility, you see, like a calm, tranquil lake. A deep sense of fulfillment and inner joy emanates from that being. So serenity gives you, the actual manifestation of serenity lies in becoming, giving a sense of being completely reliable. That person appears to be absolutely reliable to the onlooker because it shows a very clear, pure mind, a serene mind. So these are the very prominent indices of happiness which you will see if you have been able to unfold awareness, the true core of your personality. If that has come to the forefront, then unnecessary tumultuous thought in the mind is put down. it is in fact overcome. And as a result, happiness flourishes. When this level of happiness flourishes in the system, health is ensured, mental joy and happiness is ensured, a completely balanced personality is ensured. So isn't this a great gain, tell me? Let us strive to achieve this level of happiness. It is perfectly possible. But if we don't understand this science of happiness, we will be meaninglessly investing our vitality, our vital energies into unnecessary thought and emotion and getting caught up there. That is why we are dwelling deeply into this. Please see this slide. It is very, very important. It is decoding happiness. In the form of graphs, I have put it because we are studying it as a science. Please put your attention on the first graph, A. This requires a lot of explanation here. See, it is a graph of happiness against time. Usually, in an ordinary mindset, the movement of whatever positive emotion you have been able to generate, and it can alternate with negative emotion. Whatever little joys we have in our present state of mind, they keep alternating, isn't it? There is movement, sort of. With time, they decrease. Again, then we try to pep up the mind. Again, after some time, there's a dip. So this pattern keeps going on until we become good practitioners of yoga. Usually what happens in a mind which is untrained, there is a base level of happiness, baseline of happiness it is called. So this line of happiness you will try to retain in whenever there are bad moods or negative moods. You try to come back to the base level through external objects. You may use your mobile phone, you may use a whole lot of things. In everyday life you are doing it to come back to the base level of happiness. Now what yoga does for you is, it not just conditions you into positivity, it even increases the base level of happiness. The baseline of happiness is raised by yoga so that you know higher awareness is always higher happiness. So you will only strive at becoming more and more conscious from within. Whatever is required for that, decluttering the mind, purifying the mind, you will naturally do. You won't have to be told because you understand this basic equation that awareness contributes to happiness. So when you increase the bar, the base level of happiness, then your mood fluctuation, your positive and negative effect it is called in today's language, the positive and negative effect will also change. The positive effect will always become more. Over a period of positive effect actually means the positive mood which you are able to extend over a considerable period of time. So this entire pattern will change. The baseline of happiness has increased and you have become aware of a higher degree of happiness. This is what it means. And your moods will stop fluctuating so much. They will stay committed. Your positive effect will increase considerably. And you will learn to taste that happiness which is without effect, which means without emotion. It's not just about positive emotions. Please understand, the absence of positive emotion doesn't mean sorrow. When the mind is filled with awareness, no thought or emotion can ever compare with the feel of pure awareness. So you even put aside what you are calling the positive effect after some time. In a yogi's mind, there is more awareness than thought, even positive thought. So you come to an understanding that it's a fantastic phenomenon, I'm telling you. Just practice yoga. Bring your mind to a level of complete stillness where you are fully aware. If you can manufacture and maintain that state for a long period of time, you will understand everything about happiness by yourself. When you don't taste this, then you settle for pleasure. Because, you're so bankrupt that anything will do. This is the great irony in human life. If we don't taste this high the base level of happiness itself the bar has been raised to the level of clarity in your awareness, then you will not understand much about happiness. So this is to be done, to be known, obviously. And secondly, it depends on practice. Why I always insist on sadhana is for this reason. When you go on tasting higher and higher forms of happiness, naturally the lower forms will fall away from you. Sri Ramakrishna used to say this, isn't it? That there are 3 levels of happiness. He used to say there is Vishayananda, then there is Bhajanananda, then there is Brahmananda. Vishayananda is the meager joy that comes from sense objects. Bhajanananda is higher. It is the joy born of spiritual practice. And Brahmananda is the ultimate joy of transcendental realization, of pure awareness. So you proceed through this Bhajananand. You proceed through the joy born of spiritual practice, the joy of self-control, the joy of a pure mind, the joy of completely uncluttering the mind, the joy of awareness blooming there, the joy of devotional feeling towards the divine, the joy of bringing divinity into your mind. As you go on tasting these higher joys, the lower ones will naturally fall away. You don't have to struggle with them. And then your mind prepares itself for Brahmananda, the transcendental joy of samadhi, of having transcended the normal mind, entered the state of pure awareness itself. So you see, the entire thing has been given to us through the great masters. Everything depends on sadhana practice. Another important equation you will find in the next graph which I have put there. Please put your eyes on graph B. You see, that is the graph which is showing you the very important function between awareness and vital energy. When you commit and raise vital energy to higher and higher levels, awareness naturally unfolds. This is what the graph is showing you. This is again done through the practice of yoga. Through the practice of yoga, what is yoga basically? It is a way of systematically committing vital energy to higher and higher levels of your own being. I have already many times I have explained the Shat Chakra model to you. It is only meant for this much understanding, that vitality has to be raised to a particular level. Otherwise, you will remain preoccupied with silly pleasures, which are actually so disappointing, but you are only leading a life of quiet desperation. So anything will do. This will be the state of affairs. If you learn to raise vital energy systematically, you naturally become concentrated and aware, deeply conscious. This is developed further. Practice and you will know. So the higher you raise vital energy, prana, and the more committed it is, the more awareness will unfold in your own mind. This is the equation. So the graph B is the graph of sadhana. It is very important. The third graph which I have put there is C. It is giving you the equation between happiness and awareness, which I always keep talking about, that the more awareness unfolds in the mind, the greater will be your happiness. So this becomes pretty obvious to the yogi, that no object, no thought can make me as happy as when I'm completely conscious. So awareness contributes directly to happiness. In fact, happiness is an exponential function of your awareness. The deeper your awareness, the greater will be. There is an exponential rise in your happiness. And conversely, the lower your levels of awareness, which means the mind is densely packed with all sorts of thoughts, worries, anxieties, the lower will be your happiness. See, that is what graph D indicates. Please see, the more the mind is preoccupied with worries, anxieties, thought forms which are negative, the more your awareness is going to decrease. Consequently, your happiness will decrease. So you see, once you know this is a lot of information. That's why it has been put in graphs, so that you quickly know what is being said. Just keep this in mind. There are very definite ways of studying the science of happiness according to Yoga and Vedanta. What they are trying to tell us in so many words, we have captured that in graphs here. There is a definite baseline of happiness which has to be raised through sadhana, and this will naturally regulate mood fluctuation. This is the first graph. The second graph B gives you the actual equation of sadhana, that vitality committed in a definite way will result in higher awareness. And the third and fourth graphs show you that your happiness is directly proportional to your awareness. And if awareness is not allowed to unfold, or it is dimmed through overactivity of mind, unnecessary activity of mind, your awareness proportionally decreases, and consequently your happiness also will decrease. No object will be able to make you happy when you are in that state. Have you seen this? You may go on multiplying objects in your around you, but nothing will keep you happy if your mind is not open to its core being, if the mind is not trained towards that. So this is the very important slide regarding decoding happiness, understanding happiness in depth in our own system. Please understand this. You can be really fruitful at work only when you are joyous and happy. You can only radiate goodness when you are deeply happy within yourself. And you can only help others, truly serve your profession, your nation, if you are fulfilled within yourself. Otherwise, only the hungry look will remain on your face. You're just hungering for more and more experience, and you don't know where to get it, how to get it. So training the self, training this instrument so that it reaches the highest levels you are capable of, becomes paramount to fulfilling human life. That is why you must know this basic research and understanding on happiness, on the science of happiness, which is again part of your own heritage, part of your spiritual heritage. It is today being brought out in a scientific format. See, for a better understanding of the sadhana required to realize this, I have put this slide here. What does yoga exactly teach you on happiness? Please see the picture there, and then you will understand what I have put there in the text. Each level of energy yields a different awareness. The first three levels, which are Muladhar, Swadhisthana and Manipura, they only yield body consciousness. And hence, happiness at these levels is only sensual joy. So when you are restricted only to this level, you are only thirsting after objects outside of you. In fact, even human beings will become objects to you. So this is a very low way of functioning, because you are absolutely not geared towards what your instrument is meant for. This level of engagement will only frustrate you after some time, because there is something called the hedonic treadmill experience. Pleasure has this tendency that overindulgence will only frustrate you, and it never goes beyond a certain point. In fact, it is only meant to understand that other levels are available to me. Higher levels are available to me. So the first three levels will only keep you in this mode. Understanding this, you must be able to transform your energies towards the higher life. So please see there, the fourth level, which is the anahata, relieves one of body consciousness. What exactly are these levels of yoga? They are junction points where you concentrate vitality, vital energy. That is why I have always been telling you in my talks that vital energy has to be raised to a certain level for spiritual practice to become possible. So the fourth level relieves one of body consciousness, and hence happiness here has to do with intellectual joy or higher awareness. So actual life, you can say, spiritual life is actual life. It begins from the anahat, when you have raised vitality there. Now, how do you raise vitality, vital energy? Through the power of your attention. When you concentrate on the heart center. That is why all these yogic techniques, concentrate on a mantra, concentrate on an image, concentrate on some particular, maybe a lamp of light or something in the heart. Why are they telling us all this? Concentrate on a lotus of the heart. Why do they tell us this? So that your attention is fixed at the heart center. Automatically your vitality is raised there. So by the power of your attention, you raise vital energy, commit it there, and then you will yourself see the unfoldment of awareness. Further on, so also the higher the level to which vital energy is raised, the subtler, happier and purer the dimension of experience. That is why purity is stressed in all spiritual traditions. See, regarding these values, these are the eternal values of life. There should not be compromise. In every developed mind, this must happen by itself. It should not even require to be told. A pure life will ensure real development. And a life where emotion and vital energy has been compromised, that life staggers. It stops its own development. So these are scientific techniques, and it's a complete science in itself of happiness, which our scriptures, you have it in our scriptures, you can best see it in the lives of people who have done this with their lives. So this is yoga on happiness. In the Kathopanishad, this very beautiful description of human life is there. That is why I have put it here. It is very, very relevant to our young people today. Human life is compared to a chariot ride. The mantras are very beautiful. Atmanam rathinam vidhi shariram rathamevatu. What they are trying to tell us is, the Atman, the soul within you, is the rider of this chariot. And the road is life. The body of the chariot is your own body. And the horses are actually your senses. The reins of the chariot. The rein symbolizes the mind. And the charioteer actually is your intellect. And the rider of the chariot is the Atman. But if the senses are totally uncontrolled, then there will be no unidirectional movement of your chariot, isn't it? That is why, in actual chariots, they put blinkers on the eyes of the horses so that they don't go this way and that. A little committed movement is required in life for you to raise yourself higher and higher. It's not just about horizontal movement at one particular plane. So, forward movement means there must be a certain amount of commitment of everything. And the reins symbolize your own mind. If they are held tight by the charioteer, then the unidirectional movement of the horses is ensured because they are held tight. The mind controls the senses. And who's the charioteer there? He is your buddhi, your higher intelligence. Now, if the charioteer is drunk, incapable of holding the reins tight, then again, the chariot can go anywhere. But if he is an alert, smart person, then naturally he will hold the reins tight. He knows where to go. He knows his destination. He will lead the horses that way. He will keep the reins tight in his hands. Your intelligence will do that if it is awakened to the need for discipline. Otherwise, you can go anyway and go anywhere finally. And there you see in the picture, the charioteer and the rider are one and the same. Isn't it? The buddhi will give you an insight into the nature of pure awareness, the Atman. If it is trained like this, then you will get a glimpse of your pure being. So that is actually the rider of the chariot. His destination is the ultimate goal of human life. Freedom. Mukti. It actually means being free from all these bondages of the senses, of the mind. So when you taste of freedom, through your meditative practices, you understand what mukti means. So this is how it is described in the Upanishad. And that is why the reins have to be held tight. Then you can be ensured that this very buddhi will give you the glimpse of the Atman, a glimpse of who you truly are, and it will take the chariot to the goal of human life. Otherwise, the chariot can even land up in a ditch, isn't it? If nothing is under control. So take charge. All these disciplines are meant so that we take charge of our own personality, we take charge of this equipment and reach the destination of the real goal of human life. That is why the importance on self-development, self-management, before you start commanding the world, before you start commanding your positions of profession and other things, you must get this charge over yourself. That is why this is fundamental today in so many management institutes. That is why they are wanting to introduce the science of happiness. So we have brought all the information together and I'm giving it to you. Please study it carefully. You will see in the lives of personalities like these, which you can see on the slide, they have radiated the highest intelligence and bliss possible. In fact, as I told you, when Sri Ramakrishna would be in Bhava Samadhi, he would radiate a level of bliss which would make everybody enter into his state of mind and experience that joy, the sheer joy of ecstasy. And it would appear like a mad mob, singing and dancing and simply taken up by the name of God. He radiated this bliss constantly. In fact, his face, one disciple of his, Swami Vivekananda, has described his face in that state. It appeared like a cracked melon, he says, oozing out, exuding sheer bliss in that ecstatic state. Once he was asked, Sri Ramakrishna was asked, what exactly he feels in Samadhi. He said, well, would you understand if I say, if a fish is released from a small pot into the water of the Ganges, how would it feel? The splashing, throbbing expression of joy. Samadhi is something like that, he said. You enter into the truth of your own vast, infinite being. So all these beautiful expressions you will find in their lives. And the level of peace and bliss which they could give just by their presence, it should give us a direct insight into the nature of happiness, the level of happiness we can all aspire towards. The Buddha is put there, Jesus Christ is put there. They could transform so many people in their own lives just by the power of their great magnetic personality. This is the power of realization. And even devotion to these yields the highest degree of happiness. Isn't it? That's why just because you are inclined towards knowledge, that doesn't mean you put out bhakti from your life. Bhakti is the mother of Jnana. Bhakti is indeed the mother of knowledge. So devotion to these personalities, that itself will straighten your life and give you an inkling of what we are talking about, give you an actual experience of it. Just remain devoted to these personalities and you will see the transformation that will come into your mind. So then, let us summarize what we are trying to discuss in this particular video. Happiness is the inherent nature of self. See, this is the bottom line. This is the actual undercurrent of all the scriptures, that happiness actually existentially lies in your own being. It is reflected in the mind. And that is why your mind appears to be happy. But it is superimposed on the object. How we do this, we will study next, in the next video. But because we do this, we go on giving credit to the objects. But actually speaking, if you study happiness in a very concentrated sattvic state, a state close to samadhi, you will see happiness is the inherent nature of the self. It gets reflected in your mind. But you must stop its superimposition on objects around you. This is to be known by oneself. Mental awareness can reflect this joy if the mind is clear. So mind matters. A dense mind cluttered with unwanted thoughts will decrease happiness. That is why learn to manage your mind. Maintain your mind at a particular level. This is essentially education. Vivekananda used to say this, if I had my training, my education, if I had the choice of having it all over again, then I would first learn how to manage my mind, how to concentrate my mind, how to purify mind. And then I will collect facts at will. So anybody will understand this, isn't it? If you become a little sensitive. Sensitivity is sensibility, please remember. And the third point I put there is, so happiness is a state where normal awareness is cleansed and heightened. Our own normal awareness, if it is made absolutely clean, if its investiture into unnecessary thought and emotion is stopped, it will augment, it will increase in capacity, and it will flourish the mind. So, happiness can only then be understood. Happiness is again completely independent of objects. This may be hard to digest for those who don't do spiritual discipline, but it is a fact that objects only are meant to point you towards this higher happiness, but by themselves they only yield comfort and security to a certain extent, but not joy. And lower and cheap forms of delight can be got easily, but through collecting objects. But higher and fulfilling happiness requires discipline, spiritual discipline. So that is why raise your life by yourself. Uddharet atmana atmanam. Na atmanam avasadayet, Bhagavad Gita says. Raise yourself by yourself. The sheer dignity and value of human life is to be understood by yourself. And then you will invest in the right things.